As I said in my Final Destination 2 movie review, one of the better horror franchises to come out in the last few decades has to be the Final Destination movies. You don't go to see one of these movies because they're scary or even the acting's great or the storyline. Simply put, you're there for the opening scene and then also the kill scenes. Now, one of the things that I think makes this franchise so great and fun to watch is that these movies, they don't try and be super scary, and as such, it really results in this kind of light horror, often even crossing into that horror comedy genre. In some Final Destination Bloodlines, which just came out, it was really a pleasant surprise to me, and surely with a 93% Rotten Tomatoes score, set up more movies in the coming years, which I'll dive into a little bit later in the video. Now, the new Final Destination movie is somewhat different than the prior ones, as the storyline focuses on a woman named Doris from the 60s who has this premonition and saves hundreds of lives. Now, her descendants are marked for death, Doris's descendants, and because so many people were supposed to die that night, death is basically behind and catching up, for lack of a better term, although I do think they use that in the movie. Now, the movie follows the same rules as prior ones, which was good. It even showed William Bloodworth, played by the late great Tony Dodd or Anthony Dodd, in one last scene for the franchise. Now, Bloodworth was mentored and worked with kind of the main character a little bit in this film. Not the main character, but probably the secondary main character, Iris. And in the movie, Dodd definitely looked very frail, very skinny, and it was kind of sad to see that, in my opinion. So how did the movie do? Now, I'm going to grade this movie based on a few different things. Let's start with the opening scene. Always important for movies like this. Also, I'm going to grade the kills and then the story and the cast. As far as the opening scene, I would give it a B. It's not as good as like the log truck scene from 2, but I do think it is better than some of the other opening scenes from prior films. The CGI, the effects definitely helped out. It was also pretty unique setup for the plot, as we don't see actually Iris save everyone or how she did till later in the film. Usually in these films, it comes right out afterwards. Someone freaks out, won't get on like the roller coaster or pulls the car over on the side of the road. We didn't see any of that actually in the film. It just, once the scene ends, it just flips over to the main character. Now, the place the scene happens is the Skyview Tower, which is supposed to be the Space Needle in the city of Seattle. And the scene was pretty good, I would say, as we see some frightening kills really in the opening. Some good music with shouts. As for the storyline and cast, I didn't think the cast was great by any means, but they were good enough. No one really stood out, and probably the best character was the tattoo artist, who wasn't marked for death, but then messed with death and met a gruesome end. Now, the storyline I did like, albeit I didn't love the setup with the dream, where the main character, she was having dreams or nightmares, and that led her or prompted her to go find Iris. It would have been better to have, or her name was Stephanie, that just came back to me. It would have been better for Iris to track down Stephanie and the family and basically say, like, you're up next. Some things happened, and have her, kind of predicting the next deaths, maybe get them to come along, believe her eventually. This would have changed quite a bit in the storyline, though, which overall I did like. I'm not sure that would really be possible to do. Now, the kills in the movie are what we expect and come to see. They're gruesome, they were creative, and often funny. There's even some misdirection, as death spares some people sometimes, and then other times kills others. It was good writing, I thought, really, and the movie was smart or wise to bend the rules but not break the rules that makes this franchise so fun to watch. Probably my favorite series of events was when the tattoo guy, Eric, survives a fire at his shop, and then in the next scene, his sister is killed off in a gruesome fashion, getting dumped in the garbage truck. Also, the MRI kill scene was pretty cool as well here. Now, Where does this franchise go next? Reportedly, a Final Destination 7 is in the works and is set to release in 2027. It's a direct sequel to Bloodlines, but since everyone was killed off, I'm not sure how it's going to work. I suppose Aunt Brenda, who lost her husband and all three children, maybe she could become the crazy death teacher in this one, the mentor to whomever is going through it. There's obviously going to need to be a whole new cast of characters that avoided death or cheated death. One other possibility is Marty, who's in the same boat, losing all his kids. He didn't seem to fit the part as well as Brenda, though. She had a lot more screen time. Not a ton of screen time, but compared to Marty, she had more screen time. In general, this is a solid film. It also had a good ending, I did not mention, as far as the train derailing and killing off the last two with the logs flying off and hitting them. Great movie, really overachieved, I thought. What did you think? Let me know.